Okay, so I got cut off, but let's continue with number 4. We went ahead and did the amplitude, which is in front of your trig. So if you realize on number 4, the number that's in front of your trig is the 4. Um, let's go ahead and do the vertical shift. Again, the vertical shift is the number that is separated from all of this junk. So if you look at number 4, the only thing that is separated from all of this junk is the -2. So in other words, that means I'm going down, or I'm shifting my graph down 2 units, and that will be my vertical shift, and that will be turquoise. Okay, and then next is my horizontal shift. So if you take a look here, let's go ahead and copy and paste it into here. Horizontal shift is the opposite of what's going on inside that parentheses. So the opposite of a +2 is a -2. And that means it's going towards the left direction. And then finally, of course, you have the period. Period equals 2 pi over n. Okay, and in this case, n is right here. You don't see it, but it's right there, and it's a 1. So you have 2 pi over 1, which is equal to 2 pi. So it's exactly the same like the first one that we did. So my period for that one is 2 pi. Let's go on to number 3. Number 3 is a little bit more difficult because x has a coefficient of 2. So that means that I'm going to need to factor out that 2. So if I factor out that 2, I get g of x is equal to 1 plus 2 sine of 2, because I factor it out. And remember that I said that factoring is a fancy word for division. So let's take this, which is 2x, and I'm going to divide it by what I factored. So in other words, I factored out a 2. What happens to my 2's? They cancel out, leaving me with just x. This that is left over, the x, is what's left inside the parentheses. So here's x. Plus, now I have to take this, which is pi over 3. Okay, so I have pi over 3, and I have to divide it by what I factored. So I divide it by what I factored. This now becomes copy, change, flip, so pi over 3 times, and this is the same thing as saying 2 over 1. So when I flip it, it becomes 1 over 2. And when I multiply top times top, I get pi, and bottom times bottom, I get 6. So I have pi over 6. This is what's left over, so that means that it goes inside the parentheses. And because I can't do it the regular way for fractions, I'm going to have to say pi over 6 like that. So now if you want to just make sure, multiply back out 2 times x gives me 2x. And then 2 times pi over 6, 2 goes into 2 one time, 6 goes into 2 3 times, so you're left with pi over 3. At this point, now I can begin and figure out my easy stuff first. So let's do the amplitude. Amplitude is always in front of your trig. So let's go right here. In front of my trig is 2, so that is my amplitude, and that will be color-coded red. Next is your vertical shift. Your vertical shift is everything that is separated from all of this junk. So if you go here, the only thing that's separated from all of this junk is the 1. So that will be my vertical shift, and it's a positive one, meaning that it's shifting the entire graph up 1 unit. After that, I have my horizontal shift. And that is actually moving it the opposite way. So if you look here, this is a positive pi over 6. The opposite of a positive pi over 6 is a negative pi over 6. And that gives us the left direction. And then, of course, we have the period that's left. So period equals 2 pi over n, which equals 2 pi over, and in this case, what is n? In this case, n is 2. So if you do the math, we have 2 pi over 2, which reduces to just pi right there. So my period is just pi. Okay, so that is exactly what your quiz will cover. You have to label each one. A is the period, B is the amplitude, C is your vertical shift, if any, and D are your horizontal shifts, if any. I will provide you with the formula. So basically, this should be a very easy quiz for you. There's 4 questions. Each one is worth 25 points apiece. At this point, I am done with the lesson. That does not mean that you have the right to act up. If you didn't get a specific part of my presentation, ask Miss Antoine to go back over it to whatever video it is you want to see, and then you can see that portion. If you want her to go back to the beginning of this and redo it again or review it again, go ahead and do that, especially for people that didn't quite understand this. But before you leave, please make sure that you pick up all of your trash. Do not leave a mess. You can be nasty and dirty at home, but not in my classroom. And then also, please make sure that you remember that your quiz over this right here is on Thursday, which is tomorrow, and your tests over homework number 3 will be on Friday, and we will review for that briefly, because even though I didn't give you a review, your homework 3 will be a review. I will give that back to you on Thursday. If you're going to be retesting my test from last week, remember that that is on Thursday after school. You need to make sure that you get there on time, because once my door closes, you are no longer allowed in class. And other than that, I am done with this presentation. Again, if you need to go back to any of the other presentations, ask Ms. Antoine to replay anything that you need. Have a good day, and I will see you tomorrow. If I do make it back and I don't have a faculty meeting today, I will be back after school in case people need to speak to me or want to clarify some things, or even for tutorials, I will stay for a little bit. Okay, have a good one.